we're actually going to make is this one. And I decided I wanted more color in here. So, and you actually use Stampin' Blends for here. But I used copper embossing powder for the outline of my birds. And I also used the white embossing powder for these little flowers that I did in Balmy Blue. Okay, and then I used the new In Color ribbon. The In Color ribbon is terracotta tile. The cardstock is terracotta tile and a little bit of Whisper White. So the piece that we're using is this, and on the back side are little keys. I don't know if you can see that. Light might be a little harsh. Okay. And then your measurements, of course, are for your base, it's 8.5 by 5.5, folded at 4 1/4. Okay. And then your DSP is then 5 1/4 by 4. Okay. You need a piece of scratch for your bird nest, for our nested label, and then you need a piece for the inside, which is 5 1/4 by 4 by 4. You need a piece of scratch for your flowers, so you know, and that's in Balmy Blue. Oops. You need 6.5 inches of the ribbon. And that's pretty much all you need, so we can get to work. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is to do our pieces that we're going to emboss. First thing we're going to do is our birds. Okay, and we're going to take our Versamark and stamp our birds. And remember, you're going to be cutting them out, so you want plenty of room around them in order to get your nested label under it. Okay, and so then the smallest flower that's in the bundle, you're going to stamp that 3 times on your Balmy Blue paper. Okay, and then we're going to get them ready to heat them up. The first thing we're going to do is the flowers, because they're white, and we definitely don't want to mix the white with the copper. Wouldn't be good. So let's get that in. Just make sure you get it covered good. So if it looks kind of gray, then you know you need some more. Okay, and we'll set that aside and get this back in here. I know some people use paper to do it, but if you've been watching my videos at all, you know that I'm accident prone. And so using paper would probably not be the best option for me. So now we're going to take our copper. Now I have found that this little tray is probably the best thing that I could use. I assume that you guys noticed that I forgot to use my embossing buddy. So I'm hoping that this turns out right. Because you know you're supposed to use your embossing buddy to make sure of what? That there aren't, you don't pick up stray amounts. It looks good. Cross your fingers for me. Let's shove that back in here. And see, still it went on the table, like all over the table. So Okay, so we'll set that aside and let's get these heated up and fast. So see how pretty that looks with it all shiny and copper there? Okay. So we put that aside. So now what we're going to do is use our blender pens. And you see, here's what I did with this card, okay? Is I did a little bit of the light pineapple punch for the bird's belly, and then I used light smoky slate for the outside of the body. And then for the branch, I used the light and the dark crumb cake, and you can use light and dark suede if you'd rather. I also use the light and dark granny apple green for the leaves, and then I use Bermuda Bay for the flowers. And I'm sorry, I told you that was balmy blue paper. It's not, it's Bermuda Bay. So make a note of that, and I will do that for the blog as well. Okay, so here we go with the coloring. Now with the blends, you know, they're alcohol based. So using the embossing powder is actually pretty good. It keeps you in line, and it keeps your colors true. They don't bleed. So I just do the top of the head and around the side of the body a little bit. And his tail. Okay. Oop, I forgot to do a little bit of the beak. That's just a taste of the pineapple punch. Okay. So that's that. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to cut these things out. So I need the die, wherever it went. I'm going to lay down my little birds, and then I'm going to lay this over top of it. Now it's at this point that you want to come to, you want it more at the top, so you leave a place for your sentiment wherever you want your sentiment to be. And I think I want this one to be at the bottom. That comes out like that. Now, for the second piece, it's a little bit of fussy cutting. Now, what do we mean whenever we say fussy cutting? Okay. What we mean is that there's no die available for these, and you're going to cut them so that they come out like this. Okay? And whenever you're fussy cutting, if you remember, we turn the paper, we don't turn the scissors. Okay? And I'm left-handed, so there you have it. Now you can see that I've already cut mine out so that we can move ahead a little bit faster. Okay, so now what we're going to do is fold our paper. And you know, I've told you before that what I do with my stuff is to identify it so that whenever somebody gets my card, they know who made it. Right? They know that I personally made a card for them. So we want to do that. Okay, so that now identifies the back of my card very clearly. Okay, so now what we want to do is to put our DSP on there. So a little bit of snail adhesive. I'm still using my Fast Fuse, but any, you know, good snail adhesive will do your job. Okay, we want to add our ribbon. Probably should have done that first, but you want to make sure that it's nice and straight, and then fold it right into the snail that you just put on there, and it stays. Yay! I think that's a little bit easier. Okay, and now I just want to put a little snail over top of it. Just make sure it stays in place. And then you lay that down. Okay, now let's look at our card. Remember what we're doing. Okay, so now on this we want to do our sentiment, which says the world needs more of you. Okay, which isn't that one. Okay, and I'm going to do that in Bermuda Bay to match my little flowers. And I think I want to do the bottom, as I said, of this one. I have to test mine to make sure I'm getting enough stuff, enough ink on it. Okay, and then we can put that away. We're going to put this up on dimensionals. And you know, you don't want to put it where it's going to hit your ribbon. So I'm doing it like this. I'm using 6 dimensionals actually, because I don't want it to move either. I don't want it to mash and do weird things. So making sure that it's secured. And I want that so that the ribbon is just at the top. See, it's like right there. Okay, and now for our little flowers. Okay, for our little flowers, you're going to use small glue dots. And you just lay it out. Look and see where you'd like to have it. I bend them up a little bit so that it looks like a flower. And it's not flat against the page. And I think maybe I like it on this side this time. Bend that up a little bit. And I think I'm going to butt it right up to this one. And then one more. Now I want my other one on the other side, but I think I'm going to put it at the top. I kind of like that balance. So we're going to put that like right on the edge. Okay. Now we're going to add to that some rhinestones. I have all kinds of little rhinestones. So, but I want these to go right in the center of the flower. And now we're going to do the inside of the card. Okay, so we're going to take our other piece of Whisper White that is 5 1/4 by 4 by 4, 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, and we're going to, the sentiment that I'm using is, your friendship means the world to me. But what I did with the other card is that I designed the paper a little bit, and you can do it, you know, any way you want. But I took the Bermuda Bay and it just did light flowers, which that's what this is going to do anyway, just all over the place. Like that. Okay, I think that's enough. And then I took the Memento Black, Tuxedo Black by Memento. So I think the proper thing. And then I'm going to put my sentiment in the center of that. Like right there. Okay. And then use our nail adhesive to go on the back. So I needed to let you guys know that I now have a blog. So you can go to the blog, and I've been, you know, putting little comments on there about what's going on and updates from Stampin' Up, and there's our card. Isn't that pretty? Anyway, the instructions will be there, and I will put it on here, but it's going to take me a day or two to get it onto the blog. Hopefully I'll do that tomorrow. But the blog is www.designsbymargeblog.com. So I hope that you have a lovely Saturday afternoon. My husband actually bought us tickets to go see Hootie and the Blowfish tonight. So we're going to actually go out and do dinner and go to the show. So I'm excited. So I hope your Saturday is just as nice, and I will see you soon.